Coming, it's coming. I think that I have
No,
a
Coming?
space. I have a space thing in the streaming key.
yeah, but this is working, I think.
We're live.
We're live. Good.
We're live?
Yeah, we are.
Hello. Hello, folks.
Okay, hello guys. So after NetConf, thank you. So after NetConf 2020, I've been dying to try the new feature of Csharp 9. They have a really good session there. And what better to do it with Joche and Manuel so we can discuss everything they new that the language offers. So here is the blog post that Microsoft officially put in the documentation about the new features that Csharp 9 offers about records, init only settled, top level statement, and pattern matching and so on. So we're going to go and discuss this. We're going to show a little bit on Visual Studio on a sample project, and we'll go from there. I'm pretty sure that everybody knows Joche and Manuel, but feel free to introduce yourself and let's go from there.
Hi, folks. I'm Manuel. I am a DevExpress MVP since I have no idea. It's the same speakers every time because I have no idea since when I'm a MVP. But hello, folks. I hope you will learn something new. And now to you, Jose.
Okay, so again, I'm the Express MVP, like Manuel and Javier. I do know when it was this year actually. And well, like let's get started with C# 9.
Cool stuff.
Let me mute myself. So the first thing that we're going to cover is record types. So record types is a new type that is introduced now in C# 9, and it has really cool implementation. And I believe Manuel wanted to show it in action. So you want to take over, man?
Yeah. So let's share my screen real quick. I have no idea what I'm doing because it's really out of the box. So there's nothing prepared so far.
Not even the meeting was prepared. We
No,
just
it wasn't
in
nothing.
a second, and we should prepare. We should at least schedule it sometime. So if someone want to join us, they can.
Can you see my screen right now?
We can.
With the tent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine. So then let's. I just created a new project. It's file new project in Visual Studio. I think it is the preview version, I think. So it's 18.9 or something like this. Or it's 18.9 preview 1, but it doesn't matter. I'm always one ahead. But just to show you real quick, it's like it's a normal console application, and right now it's targeting NetCore 3.1. So it is a little bit in the past. If we want to target the new framework, it would be really easy to just target for Net 5, or is Net 5.0, or is it Net 5? I'm not 100% sure, but it doesn't matter because for the new compiler features, or almost any compiler feature, the C# compiler is doing a lot of work that doesn't need to incorporate with the runtime directly. So they're duck typing some stuff to achieve the goal they have to. So for example, async await is like a complex state machine they need to do, and they do this with duck typing. So they are not tied to the framework itself. So that's a really, really, really important lesson to learn about compilers, and especially about the C# compiler. So we are targeting an exe, and we have a .NET Core 3.1 application, and we will change that later to an earlier version of .NET, for example, .NET 4.7.2, for example, if you're still on full framework. And there's a normal application, so we can run that. It's like just hello world. There's nothing special about that. So get a couple of seconds. Build succeeded. and it would just output hello world. So it's nothing tremendous complicated. So what are records? Records are like classes. So I can introduce a new type like class. It's like person, and it's a first name. Prop string has a first name. If I can spell first name and a last name. No, last name. Okay. And then we can just instantiate a new person. Let's call it Manuel. Person. And then we can use normal initializer syntax. It's the first name, like Manuel. If I can spell, and a last name would be. Okay. And then we can just use the newer or older syntax. Anybody an idea when string interpolation was added? Like 6.1?
6.
6?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to interpolate the string. So it's like, okay, there's the string, and I just say, okay, Manuel. And now let's print out the first name. And then let's print out the last name. And this is basically exactly the same thing. For those people that don't know interpolated strings, okay, let's do that, the hard part. It's like 0, 1, and then the first name, and then last name. Just for those people that don't know interpolated strings yet. But as you can see, it's just the compiler does exactly the same thing. And then we should see hello Manuel, okay? So there's nothing that special about that yet. But the main problem is with DTOs or duck type, or no, it's not duck type. It's like DTOs, but those are immutable. So there is a getter and there is a setter on each of those properties. So if I, for example, can change the first name or the last name or both here, for example, with Manuel, and then let's change it for first name, and let's change it to Scott, for example.
What about Jose?
Or Jose, for example. What would be the outcome of the second line? That's the interesting part. So, of course, it changes the name of the first name, but it also changes the name of the instance. So this line mutates this variable.
Basically, sorry that I interrupt you, Manuel, but maybe you need to, I mean, that's basically the difference between a reference type and a value type.
Yes.
That is really important. That I think like this, I was thinking about this when I was checking the record type, that in Visual Basic is a little bit more clear, because when you in a function or a method, you see by val or by ref.
Okay.
So I mean, at least you have the idea, but in C# it was not that clear in that sense.
Let's change the semantics of this program, because it is like a structural program, so it makes sense that would change the semantics. Just make a method and call it create person. Okay, person. If I can spell, and let's take a first name. and the last name. If I can spell, which I can't. And now let's return a new person. And then let's do a first name, last name, last name. Okay. So if you're calling for reference types, this would be a really good thing for this kind of method. So we're creating a new person. Let's go create. Well, let's make that static. So compiler is happy. This is still a thing. So it doesn't change the semantics of the program. We just added a new method that creates a new person. But we can mutate this instance of a person. And now it gets tricky, because if you have like the reference type, because this is a reference type, it's just a class, so it's a reference. And now we can change person down the line or cross over all the places. And that is not a bad thing, but I'm not 100% sure if this was intended by the programmer that wrote the program in the first place. So I'm not 100% sure if we want this reference mutation, because you're changing the thing in memory, and then it changes everywhere, and then you have the with multi-threading, or I'm not talking about multi-threading, but I am creating a person and now I'm changing it. And I am not 100% sure if this is the right thing to do, because I'm mutating a thing that wasn't clearly to be mutated, because we made a method that creates a static or isolated type that shouldn't change. And that's the main idea. Don't mutate state if you don't have to. So how we can prevent that mutation? Of course, we can change the person class and with the first name and the last name. So we can do a thing. We can introduce a constructor. So there's a string with first name and with a string with last name. And now we just change those two getters only. Okay. So we isolate the change. We can't change the first name and the last name anymore. And now we have here the squiggles. We can't change the first name, but we can't initialize the person in this form anymore, because we have to do the constructor we provided here. So let's do this, first name and last name. Okay, now we have to delete this. And now those initializers are redundant. And now with the new C# syntax, we can make this redundant at all, but let's keep it for now. And now we need to initialize those. So it's a first name, it's like first name, and last name is like last name. Last name is like last name. And now we have a problem, because we can't change Manuel with the first name. So, okay, let's comment it out for now. And now it will say Manuel, if my selection doesn't change. So, but that changes the semantic of the program. So how could we do something like this in normal C#? We can't. At least if we don't do something like public person, for example, with first name. Let's get it at first name. And now we return a new person with the first name and with our last name. So it's this last name. Okay. So just do it like Manuel is like Manuel with first name, and then we provide the new first name. So it's like copying over all the values with the new first name. Everything else gets copied
But
over.
Manuel, one question: how do you think that will affect the quality when you do the comparison? It's a different object actually.
Yes,
It's a different value.
that's a totally new
Instance.
problem, because let's do a var Joche, and we have a Joche first name and last name, and we have a Manuel, and with the
I feel like
Manuel.
this example is dedicated to me because both of those are my names.
Yeah, sure. But the thing is, as you can see, it's like, okay, those are different instances. So we created a new instance with a new reference. But now it gets really tricky, because we added
How
one.
would you compare them actually? I mean, do you need to
Yeah.
implement
Let's do a quick comparison. Let's do a quick comparison. Like I can need to minimize you guys. It's like let's do that in the same person. And I will do it with the normal thingy, that people don't get confused. So it's like Manuel equal Joche. What's the outcome of that? Should be false, or?
Yes.
Because they're totally
they are not the same.
Two different. There are two different persons, and there are two different references. Because we are creating a new person with this first name. So we are creating a new instance of a person. And now it gets interesting, because what about changing Joche back to Manuel? So it's like Manuel 2, or Manuel with beer. So would Manuel and Manuel with beer be the same?
No, also.
Because they are different references.
Yes.
But basically, that's the same person.
But
one is happier.
And they're the same value also.
They should be, but they aren't. One is happier than the other.
Of course.
Because one have beer and one doesn't. But the thing is, all those are reference types. So they can't compare by value. They compare by reference. And every time we get a new reference, like with a first name, we create a new record or a new class. And if we create a new class, we can't compare by value. Or we can do Manuel and Manuel, first name, and we can Manuel beer with first name, say a person with same first name. That should be true, because of course we have the same first name, but that only occurs with the first name. So that's the main problem. We need to compare on a different level, or on a struct, or on a value-based type. And that's the problem with classes, because we need to specify how classes compare. And now records come in. And records are a really, really, really neat way to represent classes or types in an classes, especially in an comparable but value comparable way, but with all the benefits that classes have. So how do we specify that? I just say it's a record. Really, really important. We're now on record on target framework 3.1. So I will change the language version real quick to latest. That will tell the compiler to use the latest version of the C# compiler. Maybe we have to add a package. So I'm not 100% sure if it's supported 100% in 3.1, but that doesn't matter. And now we specify a record. And now let's call it record person record. Person record. And we can define it basically the same way as we would with the person class, like the class. But now let's just change that from create person to person record. And now we don't have this with first name method, but we can add that. Okay. So, but we need to change the return types. And now, of course, the constructor isn't there. So with first name is the this thing. So it's like the this. And now we can use the with keyword with the with. And now we can specify like the first name, and it's a first name. It's like the object initializers. It's like normally you do this and that, and now it's complaining that it's read only. But
that reminds me of Visual Basic, because I remember that there was with in Visual Basic also.
Yes, they did same thing. So it's a private set, I guess. No, that was the wrong one. That's the right one. Okay, so we can't do that anymore. So we just do the person record, and we do the first name and the last name, like we would do normally with a POCO thing, POCO class, like POCO. Just don't care. People will do the right thing. Last name, but that never happens.
We didn't put the private set on the last name.
Oh, we can't do that. It's read only, and this is also read only. Okay, so that is gone. So okay, let's change that back to set, get and set. Okay, that's it. This is like class. Okay, and now it's record. So that's the only thing I changed between a normal value type or a DTO record. So we create a person with Manuel and blah, and we print it out, and then we change the first name to Joche, and then we print it out, and we print the other out, and then are they the same person? No, they aren't the same person. And then we change Joche back to Manuel, and now it's Manuel with beer. Are those now the same objects? That's now the question.
Let's see.
And they are.
True. But the thing is that it's not like it doesn't change at all, Manuel, because, for example, if you use a record to do this, you don't have to implement the interface to check if it's equal, because
Yes.
that, I mean, if you do a POCO record, I mean, if you try to
There
do this
is
with
a
POCO,
lot going on in the compiler.
yes, I mean, it looks like you change class for record, but it's not
Yeah.
like that. The functionality that gets done for you is a lot, because to implement the interface to compare each type of object of each property, especially because you're comparing the tree of property, if it's the same, then it's quite complicated. I mean, it looks like I changed one word and makes nothing out of it, but it does. I mean,
The thing is like what the compiler does is like something like this. It's like a naive person approach, and then it's all kind of compiler magic, but they are overriding equals and overriding get hash code and all that kind of stuff. It's like tons of code to get value equality, and that's really tricky, especially for classes. But
especially if your code base is growing also, because if you
yes,
implement it by hand and you do
but
it property by property, and then you add a new property, then it's not equal again.
yeah, but now the really neat thing is records are fine, and records would work also like this. So it's like getter only and or init. I think it's the init feature. So you have to init it. And now something is yelling at me. Okay, there is like this system runtime compiler services is init is not defined, and that's because I am targeting netcore everyone. I am going to cheat, and that's like this. No, copy. Yeah. That's all the compiler needs to provide that functionality.
What was that actually?
What?
I mean, you pay something and then you put this. I mean, was generated for somehow, or
No,
you just paste it from somewhere?
that's really easy. That's like it's just if you do some no if I hit C, if I want to hit V, I can't hit V. Copy and paste. Now I can. It's just
Manuel, why don't you delete?
We did the links in the past, but I will there are some records that needs just some types or some compiler hints. That's a duck typing thing that the compiler can do the right thing. So you can do that with expressions and stuff like this, but you don't have to be on .NET 5 to use that. You can do that same thing with .NET 4.7.2, and now everything will blow up. Clean and rebuild.
Hey Manuel, why don't you delete the namespace and the main and everything, so we are already showing records and the top level statement at the same time?
Oh, okay, yeah, but there's a really important thing. I will switch to .NET 5 now. Okay, so I don't want to go into the details how to backport the compiler or stuff like this. The really important thing is like this with first name thingy, and the records can be positional. That means I can provide like a constructor with like first name and last name, and the compiler doesn't care because I don't have any records anymore. There are no additional parameters anymore. You can mix them and match them, but now the compiler is like yelling at me. They want the first name and the last name. Okay, let's do that real quick.
But that's a beauty, just one line and you have everything for you.
And now it's the same thing. And now I can expression body that member, doesn't matter, I can return. But now this with first name doesn't work anymore because there is no method on this record type. But what can I do? I can use the with expression and say, okay, it's the with first name is like Jose. And now it's like an object initializer. And now I can do the same thing here, like with first name, like Manuel. And then I have the same structure again. And what is it the same person? Is the Jose with Manuel the same? Is it Manuel with beer? I think it is. That's again my mouse. Yeah. Manuel with beer is the same person than Manuel. So that's the thing. Compiler does everything for us with one simple change. And that's value equality by for classes.
Imagine how much code in implement the equality operator, and also to do the constructor and pass the values to the fields.
That's easy for 2. Do this for 100 fields.
Yeah, of course. I mean, this is for 2. It's like they are more complex than that. So, I mean, this is the dream come true for the person who do serialization. And to
for the serialization guys, I don't think, but I think that the real value is immutable, but it's comparable. So that's the thing. It's like more a functional approach, because those can be in different functions or in different methods. You can compare equality by value, and they don't have to be the same reference, but they don't have the characteristics and limitations of structs. They can have methods. I can say, hey, ping me, public void, ping me.
I was going to mention that we can inherit them. We can
inherit them, but I can okay. Console right line. Those guys from
Arizona.
Don't sleep. And then we can do this first name. No, let's do this with the string interpolation, so it's a little bit easier. This first name and this last name. Oh, it's so hard to type on that small notebook. Last name. Last name semicolon first D. And then I can just do a Manuel with beer, Manuel, or I could do a Manuel, ping me, and then a Manuel with beer, ping me, because they are normal methods. There is nothing special about it. It's like that record gets compiled into a class. They just implement equality and all the different difficult stuff. Get hash code.
Have you decompile the assembly to see how it looks?
Yes. But I can't show that right now because I don't have this compiler at that machine. Mm-hmm. But it's basically, it's like if you get hash code, for example, get hash code, and I do a console write line with Manuel with beer and Manuel.
Hey guys, I know that Manuel have to go in a little bit, so I want also to show the top level statement, and I want to show the init. At least those 3.
But that's the largest feature, and they are exactly the same. So that's the thing about value equality, and the compiler does all that kind of stuff. But for top level statements, let's just delete some code.
Nice.
That's really easy. Okay, let's start. Value top level statements. C# programs don't need to have a namespace.
Don't need the program, don't need the main.
Don't need that, don't need that, don't
Nice.
need the main, don't need the braces. Okay, there is another brace. Don't need that. There's another brace. We don't need that. There's a record type, so there's another type nested, but we don't need that. Now compiler is rather happy. And what that does is exactly, the compiler does exactly, and those are all statements, and it wraps it inside the main, and everything else gets generated inside that class. So
yeah, and it's good to mention that the class and everything else, you have to be at the bottom. They cannot, you cannot change the order.
why
Nice.
you should use that? I did a lot of testing and smaller programs, and it's just so much less noise. I use it especially with Tasty, but I don't want to deep dive into Tasty right now. But we talked a little bit about Tasty a lot more in the past, but it's basically, it's like Node.js. You can just start a new project. Let's just do a new real quick demo. I have no idea. Oh no, this PowerShell. I can't handle PowerShell. So let's do a make dir foo. Okay, there is a foo. Make dir foo 2. Foo 2. .NET new console. And normally you can do like a type console write line, and then do a compile. I'm not that in the mood for typing, so it's like you can do a code dot. So there are 2 files that get created, the csproj, and it's really easy. It's like a manifest file, and they want to get rid of that as well. But there is this namespace full program static main. And now let's delete everything we don't need. Okay. So gets back to console, and let's tell it hello foo. And now let's .NET run.
I think that especially for
yeah, and now it runs, and now it compiles and does all that kind of stuff.
I think that especially for people starting out, this is great because they only have to like learn what they are actually learning.
Let's break this down to one line, so we don't have the namespaces. And now it's the same thing again. Oh no, it's the same thing again. And people .NET new console. Okay, did something wrong. No, should do the same thing.
What are you doing?
No, not no. Run. Yeah.
I think that for people starting out, just one line. Okay, look how this works. Try this other thing. Try, so it takes away a lot of
and now it's kind of slow. It's like 21, 22.
Nice.
But you can do like a .NET run bin debug net5 DLL. Okay, then it is like in the recompile mode, or it's just the exe, and now it should be instant. Yeah. So that's the thing with compilation and all that kind of stuff. But that's top level statements. You don't need any of the of namespace and all that shit. it's like scripting with .NET, but it isn't scripting because this is compiled. So it's really fast. So it's like let's do that again 100 times. I'm no idea if I can do that. Let's do it that way. Notepad. Let's do that and end. Now it will, whoops. And do it hundreds of times. And then I hope there's the exe. Yeah, okay. And then the clear screen and then the color so that it's resetted. And now just like execute this. Okay, so
I was expecting more than that, man.
yeah, my notebook is a little bit harsh on but it should be like instant.
Okay, let's show Init quickly, Manuel. The Init setter. I think that we are getting a lot of influence from the Csharp community and all the
Yes,
immutability. So please.
I showed it real quick a little bit earlier with the record type or with the init only. It's
Yeah,
like
I mean, you show it in the code, but you didn't mention them.
yeah, I didn't. Oh, sorry, guys. Okay, my phone just rang. Real quick, let's call it fruit. Call it name. Just real quick. String name. If you can spell. So the basic problem that's a normal POCO as we did it before. So since every time since .NET 2, I guess. So let's call that berry. So it's new fruit. And now we have the problem. We the name it's name of it's like name. Call it strawberry. Okay. Now everything is red because we have a lot of stuff that.
Yeah, because we need to put when we're doing top level
Yes.
statement, the statement before the class.
Oh, I deleted the fruit. Can't do that. Need to move that up because the compiler wants us to move the things that are classes upside the constructor. So upside the classes. So right line, berry dot name. So should be strawberry. Nothing special. But the main problem is we can change the name of the berry. So we can say the name of the berry is raspberry, for example, berry. And now we have the same berry. It's the same instance of a berry, but now it will print raspberry. And that can be a problem if you do with serialization and stuff like this, because we are changing the instance of the fruit, of this berry object. What can we do to prevent this? It's easy. We just say init. So it's init. And init set doesn't make sense. So we just say init. And now it will generate some kind of constructor stuff. And we can't change it's an init only property. We only can initialize it on an object initializer. So we can't change berry anymore. So we need to create a new berry. So let's make a new raspberry is like new fruit. And of course, there is no, we don't copy any stuff over from one to the other. That's where records come in, but we can't just change the name. But what we can do is change the quantity. For example, quantity, and now we're like quantity is like 10, quantity 10, and now we can say fruit, and then we say quantity is like I have no idea, 3. And then we can say the berry and the raspberry, and then we have the quantity and the quantity. But we can't change it in between. We can change the raspberry quantity, for example, to 1 million. Because there is an only getter and setter. But if we have the init property here, we can't change the quantity anymore. The compiler prevents us from doing that that error. If we change that to init, then we can't change the quantity by accident. And now it should be free. Oh. Why is this useful? Don't change data structures. Copy data structures over. Do value comparison. It doesn't help to compare it by reference. Do value comparison for data objects. Yeah, I hope that is somewhat clear what's with init only properties. Any questions so far?
Nah, I think that is pretty clear. I think that is pretty clear, and it's a nice addition. Again, I think that the F-Chart community is influencing a lot of the new C-Chart feature development, and definitely that's a neat feature because a lot of time we definitely need to ensure that some properties they don't get changed afterwards. We need to get that.
At least the thing is like there's one good example. It's like charge customer, for example. I will do this just with fruit, and it's like charge customer, and it's like imagine a function that gets some information, and it gets a fruit and gets a fruit back. So it's fruit and fruit, and I can return the fruit. Super easy, and I will charge the fruit, okay, and then I do the quantity thingy. Charge customer fruit, and I just print out the quantity, okay, and will, oh, it's called berry, sorry, berry, and do that thing and kill it. Okay, that seems quite nice, and it just prints out 10. Okay, yeah, 10. And charge customer means we need to subtract from the customer, but just imagine there is a more complex structure, and now we return a new fruit, and that's where records are handy, but the name of the record is the same. So it says name, but the quantity is like the old quantity -1 because we charged 1. And now the compiler can help you with doing that kind of thing and making sure the quantity only changes at that place, and you get a new var new fruit or new fruit after the charge. So that's the main idea. So the compiler helps me to ensure the business requirements, because it can't change anywhere. I can't change it here. I can't set it here like quantity is like -1 or something like this. Compiler says you have to do a new fruit if you want to do that. So it's helping you to drive into the right direction from business perspective. It's more the functional style of doing stuff.
Okay, I think that the only thing that will just missing just to at least read over it is the pattern matching.
Whoa, hard one.
Or
But
maybe we can do another video on those. Actually, Manuel, I was talking with Joche, and the other day we tried, and we have some technical issues, and that's why we didn't even publish or anything. We would like to do like a Twitch about all the tips and tricks of those blogs that DevExpress have once a month, something like that. That would be nice, because they are actually really nice implementations there, a really nice example that we can also just cover them. So it's not the community stand up, but it's just us going all over this. Okay, I think that pattern matching we'll leave it for the next video.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a deep one.
Pattern matching is a deep one, but it fits into this pocket, I guess. It's like going on and on and on. It's more like into functional programming, so it's a little bit harder to argue about, but it's going into the right direction. It's like going immutable, going stateless, and
I think that is also like more readable. Like like you can see the code, and it's pretty much like if not, is not, is. So it make when you read, it's like a sentence. It's not something like, it's something that beginners can understand more easily what they are trying to achieve there.
There's just a little thing here. Like if you do a normal record, that's the neat thing about records. It's like do a fruit with record name and quantity, and skip all that noise. Okay. And now I need to initialize those. So I have the fruit.name and the fruit.quantity -1. And I can't forget any property that's specified here. So it's like a bool, like has birthday. And now it will complain. And now I can, okay, it's like false. Okay, that's fine. That's okay, because it's an optional parameter, but I can't overcharge or undercharge it. So if you provide a new parameter, you need to copy over, and you need to think about it's like a functional style. So a normal customer doesn't have birthday. And then I can do all that kind of stuff. So like fruit is like,
and also our customer is a fruit.
Yeah, all my customers are fruits. Normally, all my customers are beers. But yeah, but that's the thing about functional programming. Yeah, it's like this kind of idea that the compiler leads your. You can't miss anything if you do that, because if I delete this, the compiler will complain.
And there is a lot of.
And you can't do that with prop has birthday, because the compiler doesn't. The compiler bool fruit has prop. No, it says a bool. So
there is also a lot of buzz now about the MBU, where they actually everything is immutable.
But the has birthday thing is not surely initialized. It's initialized by compiler by false. So it's like it's like I'm not sure. Because one side says false and one side says true, but with the constructor or with the record constructor, you need to initialize it. It's like it is like you can't just go away with not initializing it. Yeah. But that's another thing. I will compare some stuff like with TypeScript. I think on the next meeting, so we can compare a little bit more about functional programming in C# and JavaScript and TypeScript and F#, but I'm not a F# guy. But I like the direction what records are going, and it's just go with this syntax for now. For everybody that has some immutable stuff they are thinking about, it's like thread safe, all the kind of stuff. I think this is the better prop. It's the better public class foo prop name thing. It's shorter. Prop string name and prop int quantity. So much better, much shorter, has the same. It's a lot shorter than the class syntax, and I think no, it's not yet there, but there should be a convert to record type really soon. But that's
is there a way to create a record in a dynamic way, like from data definitions? Like you put that and you declare a record on runtime.
The same way as you would do it with a class, because a record is just a class. There's no way to it's not a property bag or then or like a dynamic.
Maybe we source generate.
It's helping you on the compile time side of things to do the right stuff. That's the basic idea, but it wouldn't get you in the way. This is the same thing as this thing. The only difference is it's value equatable. This is not. So it's much. I think it's more or less. It's a lot more easy for domain types. Is this kind of object the same as this object? And is it valuable the same thing? Like euro, $100, 100 euros is the same. Yes. So, but you need to play with it. So.
Okay, I think that's it for today.
Yeah, I more than a half hour over it.
Okay, guys, thanks both to spending the Saturday with with me, just going over all the new C# 9 features. And definitely, let's meet again. We can go over the pattern matching. We can go over the soft tips and tricks of October, of anything else you guys want to cover. I really enjoyed these sessions. And again, thank you for participating and see you next time.
Have a nice Thanksgiving.
It was Thursday, so we already did. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Have a nice one. Ciao.